Jerome. On defense, number 21, Anthony Wise. And number 28, Ben Matz. He's starting forwards for New Hampshire at left wing, number 12, Shane Eisenman. At center for the Wildcats, number 17, Marcus Villa. And at right wing, number 22, Eric Mazzari. The rest of the UNH Wildcats and their head coach, Mickey Miller. And now let's meet the starting lineup for the Engineers of RPI. Leading the Engineers on the ice tonight is the junior engineer, Tony Paola. Starting to go from Victoria, British Columbia, number 1, Lincoln Martin.
Banner and O'Kinner. Finish up with the defensive pairings for New Hampshire. Benton Mass, the freshman, with Anthony Wise. Cameron Marks with Max Gilden. And Dylan Chanter and Richard Boyd, the third defensive line. And in goal for the Wildcats is Danny Tierney. And I will get to the Engineers after the first whistle. We'd like to thank the Rensselaer Union, which provides the funding for WRPI and all club-related activities of the Institute, including WRPI's coverage of men's and women's ice hockey, football, and later on in the year, baseball. We'd also like to remind you that WRPI is on the World Wide Web. Point your browser to www.wrpi.org, and you can hear our broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So long as WRPI is broadcasting, we will provide the broadcast on the internet feed. Once again, it is www.wrpi.org. Any RPI student, we'd like to remind you, if you are listening and you'd like to try your hand at sports broadcasts, such as the one here tonight, shoot us an email at wrpi-sports@rpi.edu. We will do our best to accommodate you with our opportunities this season for men's and women's ice hockey, and later on in the year, baseball, if you so desire. You are listening to 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy, at the Garion. Perry Lascaris here on the call for you from the Fieldhouse.
Underway here from the HFH, RPI, and number 13, New Hampshire. Thanks, Ed. It's a non-conference game, a midweek game. We thank you for joining us here on WRPI. As it's played behind the RPI net, Mike Prapovessis had a couple assists against Brown, up to 9 on the year. As it's flipped into the zone, poking at it is Polino. He can't quite grab it. Stirred behind the net by Anthony Wise. Back behind to his defensive partner, Benton Mass, who just flips it to center, lob back in by Emil Orval. He'll go off on a change. Back to pick it up again is Wise, a sophomore from Newton, Mass. Shoots it around far side. Broken up by Brady Whiffen, who flips it into the UNH bench, and we get an early stoppage 43 seconds in.
And the lines for RPI, Brady Whiffen with Victor Lergren and Troy York. Jacob Hayhurst with Emil Orval and Todd Burgess. Evan Tierney with Jesper Orval, Patrick Polino. Billy Jerry with Owen Stout and John Richards.
Engineers win the neutral ice draw. Shot in by Charlie Manley, the sophomore from Orchard Park, New York. He'll pinch up the wall now, keeping it alive for Victor Liljegren. Liljegren looking for a feed back to the point. Finds Riley, a shot through. Comes loose to the near side. Picked up there by Grasso, moved to center. Engineers regather at their own line. Riley through the middle, hit a shin pad, and that'll allow the Wildcats to break the other way. Grasso into the zone, backhanded in front, pushed behind the goal in the end by Michael McNicholas, senior from Manhattan Beach, California. Back quickly comes RPI. Near side feed. Orval, a shot over the top, partially broken up by Marks. It'll carry him all the way to the far side of the zone and back to center for UNH. They're dumped in by McNicholas. For wholesale changes for the Wildcats here. RPI going D to D in their own zone. Mears Moore back in the lineup. Finds Tommy Grant, who shoots it all the way down the ice. This may be icing on the Engineers. Oh, Jacob Hayers made a bid to beat it out, but they say no. As it was the linesman at the far end there, Adam Wood.
Yeah, UNH kind of fortunate that shot by Orval got deflected just barely over the goal. That was headed right beneath the crossbar, but fortunately for UNH, it was deflected over the net and no harm done.
Engineers doing a better job on the draw as of late. They've been poor up until this last weekend. Also out shooting both opponents last weekend for the first time in quite some time. Both Yale and Brown, although the Bears only by 1. Bouncing puck into the the UNH zone. It's played behind. Here's Todd Burgess. Handed off for Hayhurst, trying to walk it out in front. Fed off a skate to the near side wall, where it's gathered in by Orval. Down low, Burgess trying to turn around his man. Takes a hit. Double team, lost the puck. As it was worked loose over there by Charlie Kelleher, and now moved to center. UNH passed through the middle of the ice, broken up. Burgess trying to work it ahead quickly for Emil Orval. Orval had it knocked off his stick, as Orval also had an assist last time out, up to 8 on the season for the freshman and the younger brother of Jesper. Here's a steal in the offensive zone for Stout. Centering pass and a goal! Billy Jerry with a one-timer. It caught Taroni off guard. It was a good feed for the second straight game. This freshman fourth line creates a goal. Yeah,
that was a great pass by Owen Stout. A great drop pass heading behind the net, and Owen Stout has eyes in the back of his head, sees Billy Jerry crashing. There was a defender on Billy Jerry, and I think Tironi thought it was going to be deflected, and it sort of caught him off guard by a little bit, and Billy Jerry just flicking it to the net, and it landed in the back. 17:33 left to play, 1-0 RPI.
Outlet pass for Stout, too far for him. Tironi has to come out and play. That was the first action Tironi has seen tonight, and it beat him inside the near post. That was just offside. At the line are the Wildcats here. 17-18 to go in the first. 1-0 Engineers.
Yeah, and it's Coach Smith touched on it in your pregame interview, Perry. It's important for RPI. You know, short week, coming off a heartbreaking loss on Saturday, and have to play a ranked team again on Wednesday. They got to get that out of their head. That's a great start, and they lead 1-0 here against UNH.
Billy Jerry, his 4th goal of the year for the freshman, up to 6 points already. The rookie from River Falls, Wisconsin. Mass will shoot it in. It'll carry him around to the far wall, where it's kept in for a moment by Sato. Now back to the neutral zone. Quickly back in near side. Eric McAdams had it for a moment. Mass to the far side. A pass into the middle, hit a skate. Karams to neutral ice. The Wildcats were changing defensemen, but it's going to be Gildan to jump on it here. Or Gildan, rather. Dumped into the RPI end. One-handed to the near side corner by Riley. Gave it away. To the point, Marks. Filters it right back down low. Shane Iserman. Back to the far point now. Arister hit a stick. It was blocked by Tyrannies. And now Polino to center. Dumped in. It was actually Polino on the redirect. Orval with the pass. You throw 28 and 29 in the same line together. Might confuse the broadcaster a time or two. Played to neutral ice. Mears Moore will shoot it back in. Wrapping around to the far side boards. First one there is Victor Liljegren, the senior from Stockholm, Sweden. Engineers would like to get him on the board. The Engineers, all 3 wins he has scored in this season. Whiffen had it for a moment. Played back behind the net. Here's Troy York working into the far circle. Handoff there. Pinching in is Grant. Tommy Grant behind the goal. Still on it to the near half wall. Throwing it towards the net. Hits the base and goes behind. Now Whiffen had a man in front for a second. Liljegren now back to the point for more. Arister that goes wide near side along the ice. Gathered in here and slowed down smartly by Era Nazarian. As it's played back into the RPI zone. Pressure comes to Mears Moore. He'll turn back to the far corner. Played up the boards for Troy York. York a touch pass off the wall too hard. It was broken up and stolen away there by McNicholas. Shot came to the far corner there from Salvaggio. And now RPI regathers behind their own goal. Mears Moore, junior from Duluth, Minnesota, will work it to the near half wall, lobbing it ahead. It's a bouncing puck that was played pretty well in the end by Boyd. Back comes UNH. Penalty coming up here. It's going to be a slash. And it's going to send the Engineers on the power play. Oh, interference, I guess. It looked like Tommy Grant got his stick knocked out of his hand, but they're calling the skater for something else. Interference on Salvaggio.
Yeah, as UNH was skating into the offensive zone, you don't want to take a penalty when that happens. 14:58 left in the first. Notable here for Dick Yamili of UNH, the head coach. Comes in today with 592 wins, so he's just 8 short of 600. So UNH, the team and the fans, hoping that they add to that here and get him a little closer. Of course, RPI wants to keep him off the board for a little bit longer.
Just one shot in the game so far belongs to the Engineers, and it went in, but a power play here for RPI. 3 power play goals on the weekend. Now a bouncing puck swatted around, but kept in by Prapavesis. Far side connection to Hayhurst. A shot deflected over the top from Emil Orval. It'll come down to the near corner. Gathered in by Richard Boyd, senior from Delray Beach, Florida. He'll clear it all the way down the ice. Picked up here. Shot back to center. Here's Prapavesis. Fed far side. Good corral there by Hayhurst. Into the circle. A one-time feed back door trying to find Liljegren. He was tied up in the end and couldn't get the shot away. He'll tip it into the near corner. Scrapping for it there. Liam Blackburn, sophomore from Prince George, BC. Finally carried to center shorthanded. Brendan Van Riemsdyk, the youngest of the Van Riemsdyk brothers. Engineers have played the other 2, Trevor and, of course, James. Both now playing professionally. Whiffen across for Tommy Grant. He'll slam it in. Hammering around to the near side wall. York had it for a moment. Thought he did. Trying to scrape it out along the near boards was Grasso. Now Wilson thought about a shot, finds Burgess. Back to Wilson. One-timer coming. It's hammered wide. Bouncing puck in the slot. Swing and a miss there from McNicholas, and now a second effort gets the job done. Cleared all the way down by Cameron Marks. Lyndon Marshall back to stop things behind the goal. He was in net for both games last weekend. A solid 2-1 win against Yale. And then that unfortunate final 10 minutes against Brown. But Engineers showing some faith in the freshman. He's back out there again here tonight against UNH. Here's whiffing into the zone. Engineers with a 1-0 lead. Not quite 7 minutes in. They're on the power play for another 17 seconds. As the Wildcats shoot it right back in. Stopped there by Marshall. It'll be gathered in by Grant and picked up by Will Riley. 5 goals and an assist, but he's in a bit of a dry spell here. Hasn't scored since the Quinnipiac game. Out of the box in 2. Orval with the puck along the wall. Looks to cycle. Penalties over to Salvaggio. RPI 0 for 1 in the man advantage. Orval back behind. Here is Polino. Nice spin move to get free, far side circle. Fakes a handoff there. He'll carry it to the top of the zone. Near side, Manley walking in, looking to feed it down low. It was broken up in the end by Taroni and not cleared. Picked up by Tyrannies. Evan Tierney's far side got knocked down by Boyd, gets back up again. Puck in the corner, played back to the point quickly by Orval. Near point now, Manley, a wrister. That one goes wide. Penalty coming up here on New Hampshire. Riley with the puck, steering it up the boards. Extra attacker on for RPI. Polino, a shot. That one's blocked away. Still no touch from the Wildcats, and now they do, as it's finally tracked down by Mass. And we get a whistle. RPI going right back to the power play here, Ed.
Well, yeah, their power play has looked good. Yeah, they haven't gotten on the board on it, but I think it's safe to say it has been improving from what we saw in the beginning of the year. Get a couple of goals, get a couple of shots going on the power play, whereas they go right back in on the penalty to Boyd for UNH. They go right back on the power play, and they just got to keep up the pressure. We showed that even after the power play expired, they were still keeping up the offensive pressure and still keeping that puck in and really grinding, which drew that second penalty for UNH.
Yeah, Boyd cross-checking Tierney's in the corner. That's what the folks back on RPI TV saw there. As he'll go off here. And the Engineers will go on the man advantage for the second time. Penalty kill for New Hampshire at 90.8%. And now a near giveaway at the blue line. As Liam Blackburn nearly broke in, but the Engineers do a good job to defense that. Now here comes Will Riley on the move through center. He'll hit the blue line and shoot it in off the end boards. Bouncing puck, chipped to the far corner now for Liljegren. Now back to the point for Hayhurst off the wall. Hayhurst, far side. This is Emil Orval, freshman from Halmstad, Sweden. Tried a nifty backhand that was broken up. And maybe a little bit too cute there as Blackburn got in the way. And the Wildcats are able to clear. It'll send the Engineers back to their own end. Will Riley to start things out once more. The sophomore from Toronto will play it far side for Burgess. Burgess into the zone, stick handling, shoots it off the near wall to himself, carries to the near corner. Burgess down low now, takes a look around, feeds it to the goal line extended. Walking it out in front is York, and Taroni made the save. It was one of those plays, York back to the net, kind of spun around and tried to flip a shot on goal, but ended up maybe being a little bit too close to Taroni in the end and wasn't able to lift it over him.
Yeah, I think he was a little surprised that he got the puck on his stick too. It looked like he was sort of shocked and he didn't know what to do with it, so he just tried to do the spin move and poke it in, but he was a little bit too close, as you said. 11-10 left to play the first, 1-0 RPI.
UNH trying to clear off the defensive zone face-off win. It's lobbed rather poorly in the air by Dylan Shanter. And the Engineers are able to move it back in quickly. Wilson along the near side boards, indirect off the end wall, broken up for a second, but it's kept alive by RPI at the far point, Tommy Grant. Down low, nice little saucer for York. York fanned on a pass, tried to get it back again. Burgess gets converged upon by a pair of Wildcats and is taken behind the goal by Gildan. Another clearing effort near side. Wilson can't get there in time. It's shot all the way down. First one to it is going to be McNicholas, and he'll play it in the corner. Loses an edge and goes down. He's finished off by Wilson anyway. And now back comes Tommy Grant. Grant into the offensive zone. 4-on-3. Throws it off the back of his man. Loose in the far circle. Owen Stout to the point. 5 to go in the power play. Grant a wrister. That one skips wide. Picked up by Jerry. Throwing it right back through. And it comes loose to the far corner. Stout's cycling now for Richards, and now here's Jerry. This is the group that scored RPI's goal. Richards once more, off for Jerry. Jerry to the point, shot by Manley, high and wide. May have gotten a piece of Taroni's, the end of his stick there, the knob end, as it's finally cleared to center. And we get a whistle here, and a high stick Puck played with a high stick.
Yeah, puck was played with a high stick, and RPI doing a great job keeping up the pressure on those 2 power plays they had. And, you know, we've seen it. They are a young team, so they're a little bit – we still see some of those miscommunications that, you know, maybe a veteran team doesn't quite have, and, you know, still trying to gel and work with a new coach and within a new system. So we see that, and I do like the fact the defenders are pinching all the way down on the power play. I like to see that, you know, from every single one of them that's out there, not just 1 or 2, which is a change from the last decade. And nothing but good things can come of that from RPI. We saw it. They scored an even strength goal, but even on the power play, they're still getting shots. They're keeping up that pressure. They're beating UNH to those pucks. And, you know, RPI is doing a great job right now. You know, shots, they only have 2 shots, but, you know, pretty safe to say the ice has been tilted in RPI's favor.
Yeah, shots are just 2-0 in this game. UNH yet to register one. Wildcats started off the year real hot. They won their first 5 games to start the season, but they've been a bit of a cold spell recently. But you throw in a couple of shutout wins over 4-0 over Yale and 1-0 over Providence. Nothing to shake your head at there. They are 8-5, and as we mentioned, number 13 in the nation in the USCHO top 20. They're number 15 in the USA Today poll. There's a wrist shot that hits a shin pad, hit blocked by Manley. He'll glove it down far side. That'll be a hand pass on RPI, and we'll have another whistle here after not a lot of time had passed. Of course, the longer stoppages they started last year between after the 10-minute mark of each period. That allows Ed a little bit more time to get a few more words in. Face-off coming here to the right of Lyndon Marshall. Tierney's and Blackburn on the face-off. RPI's 3 most used centermen all their numbers are up from last weekend, face-off wise, Whiffen, Hayhurst, and Tierney's. Hayhurst actually now over 50% of the draw, which is good to see. Now that trying to climb towards that 60% mark is a face-off win for UNH. 2 shot blocks there from the point as Polino got in front of a couple. Near side marks, he'll just work it down low. Riley has to be careful where he places his stick here as his man is facing the boards. It's dug along and played to the far side corner. That was Chris Miller digging it out. Wrist shot deflected off of, I believe, Tierney's in the end, up into the netting. And we have another stoppage, but RPI getting in front of shots more than their goaltender, in fact, so far, as they've blocked a few, but Lyndon Marshall hasn't seen any rubber yet.
No, and I'm sure Lyndon's okay with that. I mean, I'm sure as a goaltender, you do your job and stop the puck, but anytime, you can go halfway through a period without stopping a puck, I'm sure you'll be okay with that. That means your defense is doing a great job, and RPI's is right now. Stats still 2-0 in favor of RPI, but the score is 1-0 in favor of the Engineers.
Whiff and toss from the dot. RPI has already blocked 6 shots in front of Marshall. He has not seen one to him. There we go. Lyndon Marshall with his first shot on goal. It's exactly what you're looking for, right in the breadbasket. Gets a chance to feel what the round piece of rubber feels like, and now he's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to, keep your focus and feel the rubber, and now you're in the flow of the game.
Shot coming again. That one skips wide to the near half wall. Chopped at by Liljegren. Ahead by Whiffen to York. York into the zone, top of the circle, waiting for reinforcements. Takes a shot. Shoulder save. Whiffen then runs into Taroni. And it's wrapped around to the far side where it's kept in by Prapavesis. Prapavesis, far side connection, Brady Whiffen. He'll carry it back to the point now, near point. Prapavesis flipped towards goal, high and wide. Karam's all the way around to the far side. Now a chance to break 3-on-1. UNH into the zone. Maybe a pass or a shot. Prapavesis broken up on the slide. Must have been a shot there. Now it's out to center from Marks. Not exactly how you draw up the 3-on-1 for New Hampshire. Not getting a shot on goal there as it was carried in by Salvaggio. His tight angle shot was eventually blocked off by Prapavesis. Now Wilson on for Liljegren. He has some room to break into the zone. Closed off pretty quickly, however, by Richard Boyd. He'll just dump it in. Boyd once more on the puck. RPI 0 for 2 on the power play early. They do lead 1-0. Emil Orval dumping it in. Billy Jerry scoring his 4th goal of the year. We now have 8:13 to go in the first. Bouncing puck skips by Burgess, or he might have had a shot with Taroni out of position as he had gone behind the net to play it. And shot it awkwardly off the wall. Now a near giveaway. Stolen away in the end by Hayhurst. Drop pass here on the wrong side of Hayhurst. If he was right-handed, he might have had a one-time try. Back comes New Hampshire now as it's dumped in by Nazarian. Around to the far side boards. Iserman. And now Vela. Vela in the far circle. Twisting and turning. Takes a bump from Moore. Plays it down low. On for Iserman. Now intercepted by Hayhurst. Hayhurst drop pass for Mears Moore. Moore out of his own zone. He'll drop it off for Tommy Grant. Grant off the near side boards. Good connection to Hayhurst. Hayhurst into the zone. Shoulder fake. Walking in. Hayhurst around the net. Feeds it across. And the shot from Burgess is blocked. Puck back to center. Engineers playing with a little more urgency than UNH right now. And you can sense it as it's tipped back in by the Engineers, especially Hayhurst, bringing some energy to that grouping. Found Todd Burgess for a shot, but it was blocked away before it could get to Tironi. Now a near center ice interception, stolen away by Richards. Richards near side, Jerry a shot, save made, rebound picked up by Stout. Stout near side half boards, he'll cycle it down low. Richards threw it right through Jerry, poked to the point, Manley trying to keep it alive, and he does, and now it's out to center. Manley once more, he'll shoot it in. Touching up is Richards, Tironi to stop it there. New Hampshire backed up a bit in its own end, finally flips to center, and now it's carried on further. Into the zone, McAdams, he goes down, the shot comes, no arms go up as McAdams, or excuse me, that was McAdams, was sprawled out on the ice there after taking the shot, but no penalty comes.
No, and Lyndon Marshall right there to make the save. I think on the other side, Jacob Hayhurst came around the net with a head of steam and put a little bit too much smoke on that pass to Burgess as Burgess quickly didn't have a one-time chance, sort of bounced off his stick, and then Burgess sort of swiped at it.
Face off here. Clearing up the far boards is Wilson. And now here's Jesper Orval in. Takes a wrist shot that goes all the way through. Picked up by Polino in the far corner. Polino's tugged at a bit. And that allows UNH to break. Again, another odd man rush, 3-on-2. Pulling it back, a feed across to the near side, goes right through the stick of Charlie Kelleher, and back come the Engineers. 2-on-2 as they hit the line. Shot in deep by Tyrannys, and he was trying to replicate what he was able to do short-handed when Prapavesis shot the puck in against Brown. Hard off the end wall. Tyrannys was able to get there first. That time not the case, as Tironi didn't quite like how Tyrannys went after the puck under his mitt there.
Yeah, well, you know, you can't blame Tyrannys for that, as we see Tironi making the save and then the puck bouncing down right in front of him, so you can't blame Tyrannys on that one. Conversely, Lyndon Marshall was having a little trouble with his rebounds earlier in the season. Tonight, he seems under control with those. 6:10 remains in the first period, 1-0 RPI over UNH.
Face-off won by the Wildcats in their own zone. They look to break out far side. As they hit the line, is intercepted by the Engineers, and they'll throw it high off the glass. Glove down by Emil Orval at center. Stripped away from him. Now back comes McNicholas. McNicholas top of the circle, feeding it off the end wall. And nobody home. Tommy Grant over there now with a little bit of pressure. Plays up the wall for Orval. Orval on further for Hayhurst. Jacob Hayhurst into the offensive zone. Makes a move. Chips it towards the near corner. Emil Orval's the first one there. Playing it behind. A collision behind the net. Burgess lost track of the puck. It was between the skates of Wise. And now stolen away. Hayhurst spins off his man. Jacob Hayhurst, RPI's top point getter on the year with 12. 6 goals and 6 assists split evenly. As it's lobbed high in the air to center ice, it'll be gathered in by Charlie Manley. Manley across, finding Riley, and now he'll move to center. Riley stick handling into the zone near side, finds York. York on his backhand, hands it off for Will Riley in the circle. Has a little bit of room. York to the shot coming. Rebound poked wide by Whiffen. Excuse me, a shot came from Riley there. And now Whiffen behind for York. York stops. Top of the near side circle. Shot comes from Liljegren from between the circles, and it goes wide. Gathered in again by Mass. Up the near side boards. It's broken up and kept in by RPI as Azarian had it for a moment. Now to center for Vela. Good poke check by Riley. To center for York. His backhand pass feeds Whiffen, who's back out the other way. Now trying to glove it down was Chanter, the UNH captain. Trying to move it out of the zone near side, does just enough. Gathered in by the Engineers. Liljegren back for Wilson. Jared Wilson across for Prapavesis, up the boards, tipped in by Richards, and now the Engineers need to touch up. Billy Jerry's offside, now he does. RPI can go back on the forecheck as it's tipped into the RPI zone and deep, stopped there by Marshall. 4:09 to play first period, 1-0 RPI. Fed far side, Billy Jerry, the goal scorer, into the zone 3-on-3. He'll fire on goal, easy glove stop for the right-hand catch of Danny Tironi. He'll hold on to it, and we get a stoppage in play.
All right, shots now 7-2 in favor of RPI. 4:01 left to play in the first. RPI leads 1-0 on the first shot of the game, which was by Billy Jerry, found the back of the net. And after that, RPI and showing UNH they can skate with them. If UNH came in and thought this was going to be an easy game, RPI has different plans.
Face off in the New Hampshire zone. To the far corner it goes. Now loose in the circle. Polino a shot. His stick was partially tied up there. Wasn't able to get a clean look. And it goes wide. Now trickling all the way down ice. It'll be played by Marshall. Tommy Grant helps it to the near corner, but he's beaten to the puck there by Grasso. Into the near side is McAdams. Twisting and turning up the near side half wall. Still Eric McAdams. Off the far boards. He finds Miller. And it's kept in by McAdams again. Into the far corner they go. Tied up there with Mears Moore now. Sato there as well, but it's the Engineers who come away with it. Orval ahead for Tyrannies. Good connection far side. Patrick Polino trying to turn the corner. It's poked away by Gildan. Polino back on the puck to the point. Manley lines one up, looking for the redirect from Orval. And that one went horribly wrong for him. Now Polino once more. Far side connection for Riley. Back to Polino. Polino trying to just cycle the puck. Does a nice job in finding Tyrannies. Throws it off the back of the net to himself. Back to the point for Riley. Will Riley through traffic. That one goes wide. Picked up there, a backhander off the base of the net by Richards. Engineers continuing to be the more active team in the offensive zone. And it's turning into opportunities. They've shot attempted New Hampshire 2-1 in the game. 22-10. I guess you could say 11-1. RPI grads may get on me for that. As it's played around to the near side. Kelleher. And now shot in deep. Chance picked up by Prapavesis. Tie up in the corner, Jerry. Now a shot comes from a tight angle, blocked by his own man there. That was Kelleher. And it'll be wrapped all the way in. Pinching up the boards now is Mass. Mass behind the net. Fid to the circle, a shot and a one-time goal. He found his defensive partner there, Anthony Wise, and it's a 1-1 game as Wise had collapsed all the way below that far circle, but below dot even, the far dot, and tied this one up.
Yeah, RPI has a tendency to lose those, much as I mentioned the defenseman pinching down earlier for RPI, RPI has a tendency to lose those UNH defenders pinching down, and that's what happened there. Just Wise got free, and they found him with the puck, and he was good. 1-1 RPI and UNH.
Now as one defenseman to his own partner, a pass from behind the net. You don't see that a whole lot, but from his numbers, Benton Mass, 10 assists on the year, and you can see why. That's his 11th. Likes to navigate that offensive zone. Back the other way. A shot by Wilson goes wide. I don't know if Tironi saw that one. Now a shot coming off the iron from Hayhurst. Picked up there by Burgess. He has his man wrapped up. Stolen away. Here's Orval centering pass right on in front. Robbed is Hayhurst. Second try is in. Tironi stopped Hayhurst the first time, and the rebound fell right back to him. And he was able to put it home, and RPI right back on top, 2-1.
Yeah, Jacob Hayhurst had a rebound shot, hit the post, came right back to him, and he not to be denied. Got absolutely stoned on the first one, but again, we saw Tironi with the rebound, dropping right down in front of him. Hayhurst knew that, followed the puck, got his own rebound, and put it right back in the back of the net. So 1:23 left to play in the first, 2-1. RPI leads UNH on Jacob Hayhurst's goal.
7th of the year for Hayhurst. Moments before, you're right, he hit the iron. And now they're going to make it look at this one. It looked like it did go in, so this looks like it's going to count.
Yeah, Matt, got to give Mass credit. He was on the blue. He was right on the goal line, trying to keep it out, but I don't think he did.
Looked like it hit the inside bar and came out. But credit Hayhurst, he had the 3 shots. The one shot hit the crossbar or the post. Then he got another chance that Tironi made a great glove save on, but he didn't hold it. And then he was able to put that 3rd try home.
Yeah, and if you look at the official, he's explaining what to do. He's explaining that, hey, the puck hit the crossbar, bounced straight down, it was in. And of course, let's see what Joseph Corazon says. Skating over to UNH, didn't make a signal yet.
Yeah, this is weird. Usually they come out and point.
Yeah.
I guess they're saying it was a good.
I guess they're saying it was a goal.
Usually you point when you come out of there.
Yeah. I don't know. There was absolutely no signal from the referee. He just went, skated right over and talked to Dick Yamili. But either way, it's 2-1.
2-1 RPI. The Engineers answer the UNH goal very quickly to tie things up. In fact, just 36 seconds later, RPI back on the board with Hayhurst, his 7th of the year, leads the team. Gathered in by Whiffen. Just zings one far side, trying to find York. He gets on the end of it. Now he's wrapped up and taken down, and a penalty coming up in New Hampshire. And that's what happens. The Engineers continuing to move their feet. This time it's York drawing the penalty. And RPI will go back on the power play here. Yeah,
Troy York would have had a 2-on-1 if he wasn't hooked down. But anyway, Troy York with the hustle as the pass came off the boards, and he just found it, and Mac Gilden got his stick up above the waist of York, and York kept his feet moving, and that results in a Gilden penalty. So RPI has 57 seconds to try to get a third goal. If not, they start the second period on the power play.
You don't see a lot of Plano, Texas natives hooking each other in college hockey, but we had it here. Gildon, a freshman from Plano, hooking the freshman from RPI, Troy York, from Plano, Texas. Here is Will Riley stopping at the goal line extended. Played it back to the point for Prapavesis. Far side connection there, it's Hayhurst. Riley, middle of the ice, takes a look. Near side, Prapavesis. Thought about a slap or no. Far side, Riley hops over his stick, but he has time to go gather at the far point. Now Hayhurst, near side, Riley trying to chip it around one man. Now looking to break the other way. There's a man still breaking. It was Van Riemsdyk. He'll turn back towards center and play it across. Poke check there by Riley, breaks up this shorthanded effort. And not a shot coming there from New Hampshire. RPI will skate to center, 4-on-3. As the two players got tangled up behind the play. Shot coming in, a glove save by Tironi. That'll do it as Hayhurst went sliding into the pad of Tironi to end the period. Didn't look like he got anything out of that. Just a little bit of balance lost there from Hayhurst.
Tironi is sort of looking at the official like, hey, what's going on? But Hayhurst, followed the play. Tironi lets him get rebounds, and hey, maybe Hayhurst could have put one in with 0.2 of a second left, like Niagara did against RPI about a month ago, 2 months ago now. But RPI really thoroughly outplaying New Hampshire in that first period. Have 2 goals to show for. New Hampshire does have 1, but RPI overall playing great this first period.
Engineers they're out shooting the Wildcats by a 9-3 margin. RPI is. They had in the middle of their third power play opportunity, which of course will carry over into the second period. Have a rather long interview with our former engineer Craig Nienhaus, who was on the 1985 national championship team. Had a chance to sit down with him earlier this week. So I'll run that here during our first intermission. So any final thoughts before we go to break, Ed?
Nope, RPI just has to keep doing what they're doing. I trust Coach Smith will make any adjustments necessary, as he has been good at doing thus far. And RPI goes into the locker room with a 2-1 lead, and hopefully RPI is thinking of ways to expand on that lead. So that will do it here for the first period of play. The score here after 1 period is RPI 2, New Hampshire 1. You're listening to RPI Hockey on 91.5 FM WRPI Troy.
Step by, success you. Who's the sweet drawer here on campus at the University. We bring why not visiting the engineer's workshop located across from the concession stand behind section 2. They've got classes and books and jerseys and much more. Stop out and check out all the engineers' swag. RPI and the local community. And if you get your game ticket to Wolf Spirit Garden, you'll receive food and drink specials. See you after the game at Wolf Spirit Garden, 2 King Street, downtown Shore. Women's hockey action here this weekend. And Saturday night against Clarkson, it's packed house night. Come on out for your free t-shirt and support RPI women's hockey. Game time 3 o'clock this Saturday.
Hey fans, I'm Coach Dave Smith, and RPI men's hockey wants to wish you a safe and happy holiday, and also have a great new year. Hi, I'm Dave Smith, coach of the RPI hockey.
I'm British for Jones. Like RPI, our friends and employees of the 1800s. Like RPI, we have a reputation for the best at what we do. All from British for Jones, Packer Murphy is one of the most experienced recruiting firms in the state of New York. We are your hometown lawyers. We are here for you in Florida. Coach, come on tonight. Go Red.
For the second period of tonight's action between RPI and UNH. Score after 1 period of play is RPI 2, UNH 1. Ed DeGuerin along with Perry Lascaris here on your home for Engineering Hockey 91.5 FM WRPI Troy. Before we get started with the second period of play, we'd like to thank the Rensselaer Union, which provides the funding for WRPI and all club-related activity of the Institute, including RPI men's and women's ice hockey, football, and baseball later on in the year. We'd also like to remind you that WRPI is on the World Wide Web. Point your browser to www.wrpi.org, and you can hear our broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so long as WRPI is broadcasting. We will provide the broadcast on our internet feed once again. That is www.wrpi.org. Also, WRPI is seeking current RPI students to make live broadcasts of games such as this one between RPI and UNH. If you think you have the chops to do this, give us an email at wrpi-sports@rpi.edu, and we'll do our best to accommodate you. Even if you're a recent alumni, we'll see what we can do if you want to try your hand at this. So, clock's almost ticking down here, and Perry and I were trying to fumble with getting a battery pack opened up here. Two graduates of world-class university, and can't even open up a cover to a battery pack.
It's definitely jammed, so if it was the normal way to do it, we would have had it open already. Even you, Ed, would have had it.
Well,
you.
I don't go that far.
All right. I would have had it open. I've opened it before. Anyway, shots are 9-3 Engineers after 1 period. Face-offs in the first, 10-8 New Hampshire. So Engineers and Wildcats pretty close here. Close game, 2-1 RPI. They have a power play for another minute here as we begin the second. Shot in by Will Riley. It wraps around to the far side corner. Liljegren lets it run for Prapavessis, who shoots it in. Liljegren, too far for him. Chance to clear off the glass and all the way down off the stick of Wise, who has the lone UNH goal. Lyndon Marshall stops it behind his net. Hands it off for Will Riley. Riley, 5 goals and an assist from the blue line so far this year. And this his 17th game. Here's Victor Liljegren near side. Stick handling. Lost it in the near circle. Played to center. Gathered in by Riley. Quickly across for Prapavessis. Mike Prapavessis carrying in far side. Now a cross-ice pass from Orval. Hits off a skate and goes back into the Engineers' end. They'll gather once more. Maybe one more rush here on the power play. 9 seconds to go on it. Riley into the zone near side. Riley driving the net. Walking it out in front as backhander goes wide. Riley once more. Carrying towards the top of the circle. Takes a shot that skips wide at Tironi. The Will Riley show for that last little bit of the power play, which is now over. As it's kicked up the near side boards. Salvaggio can't clear the zone. The Engineers fire it right back in. RPI doing to UNH what the Engineers have unfortunately been accustomed to over the last few years, getting hemmed in there. RPI hemming in New Hampshire. Now Wilson backtracks to his own zone to pick up a loose puck. He'll get it back from Tommy Grant. And now it's corralled far side. Salvaggio. Good poke check by Wilson to knock it free. Salvaggio back on it for UNH. Kept in at the far point. It's shot in deep. New Hampshire wants to change. RPI trying to break as it's shot back in after being cleared to center by Boyd. And RPI will reset once more. 2 minutes into the second period. 2-1 is the RPI lead here over New Hampshire. Only 2 college hockey games, 2 Division I games going on so far in ECAC or in college hockey tonight. As Brown is also in action. As there's a puck ice there, Brown and Bentley. It's Bentley 1, Brown nothing in Providence.
17:42 remains in the second period. RPI now 0 for 3 on the power play. They lead UNH by a score of 2-1 here at the Fieldhouse on a very sparsely attended Wednesday night hockey game.
There's a Division I women's game going on as well. Harvard and Dartmouth are scoreless. That's actually an ECAC hockey game on a Wednesday. Puck in the far corner of the New Hampshire zone. Battling for it there is York with Wise, and it's Wise who comes away with it and shoots it around to the near side, but it's kept in, by Prapavessis. And now Iserman into the RPI zone, trying to walk around Moore. Iserman right to the net, takes a penalty, does Moore, as it'll be a hold. It'll send New Hampshire on its first power play, and it was a good bit of speed worked up there from Shane Iserman, the senior from Newburyport, Mass. Has 3 goals on the year, and Moore really just trying to keep him out of the front of the net, took him down or held him.
Yeah, if there's ever such a thing as a good penalty, that was it by Mears Moore. As Iserman had a lot of speed, and it looked like he was going to go alone on the goalie, but Moore was there and makes the hold. You never want to go into the penalty box, but in that case, you prevented a goal for the time being.
Power play for New Hampshire is its first. 19% even on the year, but shorthanded comes Billy Jerry. It's poked off his stick by Grasso. Although now he'll continue to do battle 1-on-4 in the corner, and Jerry just did his job there, wasting some time in the offensive end. Finally peeled out of the pack by Gildon. Max Gildon, draft choice of the Florida Panthers, 12 points on the year. As a quick shot comes, rebound, they score, a power play goal. Jason Salvaggio as they enter the zone far side. The shot came. A pad save was made by Marshall, but it popped right to the slot. Salvaggio was all alone, and he was able to bury.
Yeah, again with those rebounds, Lyndon Marshall was having trouble with the rebound. And that time it came right to Salvaggio, and Salvaggio just poked it right home. So Lyndon Marshall has to do a better job controlling those rebounds, especially on the power play. 16:53 left to play in the second. 2-2 RPI and UNH.
Just out of the reach of the glove of Marshall was Salvaggio, but you can't blame him. He was right between the dots and was not picked up there. Bouncing puck into the near corner of the RPI zone. We're tied once more. Last time New Hampshire tied things up, it was Hayhurst to put the Engineers back on top. RPI back the other way. Shot by Manley. Saved by Taroni. Squeezed the pads together and holds on. And we get a stoppage. But certainly you don't expect this one to end 2-2 the way these teams are playing. No,
and RPI lets up a goal. They come right back down and they keep up the pressure. That's exactly what they have to do and not get down on themselves. So it's right now it's 2-2 RPI and UNH, but RPI playing the number 13 ranked Wildcats pretty evenly so far.
Maybe even outplaying them. Shots are 11-6 as a shot comes off the post. Rebound, Burgess slaps it wide. Second time the Engineers have hit the iron tonight, and we're not halfway through the game. As now it's carried along by Marks into the RPI zone. Pops high in the air off the glass behind the RPI net. Tie up behind the goal, kicked at by Manley. One-handed up the boards for Burgess. Both Hayhurst and Burgess have hit the iron as it's fed across far side for Emil Orval. He'll chop it in deep. Hits off the dasher. Collision down there. We're going to get a penalty here on Burgess, and it's an unfortunate one. He didn't see Marks, and he just ran into him. It's going to be interference on the Engineers as There's a couple of touches. Finally, we get a whistle. And New Hampshire will go on the power play for the second time. Burgess for interference.
Yep, 15:50 left to play in the second. RPI and UNH tied at 2. UNH will go again on the power play as Todd Burgess from Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of people from warm weather on the ice today for both teams.
He saw him. I thought he didn't see him, but he took a look and he hit Marks, and Marks didn't have the puck, and that's going to be interference just about every time. Second chance on the power play for New Hampshire. They're 1 for 1. Trying to take their first lead. Engineers with a good clear. Troy York all the way down the ice. Stopped up next to the net by Danny Taroni, who shut out the Engineers the last time these two teams met. A 5-0 victory. Now puck fed on goal. In fact, I think it was a pass, but it ended up hitting the right pad of Marshall, who was ready for it, as it was Michael McNicholas crashing to the net. He couldn't reach the pass, but it ended up on goal. Back into the zone now comes New Hampshire, but it's broken up again. Grant, indirect for Tyrannies, all the way down the ice. He's going to get there first, trying to feed it quickly for Polino, who maybe had a step on his man, Grasso, but in the end didn't get it. Now Polino's dumped in the corner. Fans want to call, not going to get it. Salvaggio, who recently tied this one up, skates it ahead, scoring his 4th goal of the year. Salvaggio in, tight angle shot. I think he scored. What a shot from Salvaggio. From almost no angle, I think he put it over the shoulder of Marshall.
Yeah, the light went on. The ref pointed goal, but I think they're immediately going to go. It looked like they were going to go review it, but it doesn't look like it. As it seems like they want. Yeah, no, there's going to be no review. So seems like it's a good goal for Salvaggio with his 2nd power play goal in as many power plays. Now here comes Corazon to review it.
Yeah, this is definitely a goal. He fitted into a very tight spot. It hit the back of Marshall and went in.
Yep. This is going to be 3-2 UNH. 14:52 left to play in the second. Nice job by Salvaggio, though. Really no angle. It hits the sort of flipped off the back of Marshall's shoulder and in the back of the net. Salvaggio skating down from the red line.
I mean, there's really no angle there for Salvaggio.
Yeah. Looked like it actually hit Marshall's helmet.
You're not supposed to shoot it from there, but he did anyway.
No.
Hit him right in the back and went in.
Yeah. Yeah. Little bit, there was not room to open at all.
Yeah.
And Salvaggio found the one opening and put a pinpoint shot right through it. So, yeah, that was really nobody's fault. But Salvaggio made a great shot and put it in the back of the net.
Face off at center ice. New Hampshire leads for the first time. They're 2 for 2 on the power play. Now it's trickling in on goal from center, covered up by Marshall. He'll hold on to it there. So after all the work the Engineers did up until this point, it's now New Hampshire with the lead. And a face-off coming up in the Engineers' end. 3-2 New Hampshire, 14:46 to play second period.
Yeah, with the way RPI has been keeping up the pressure, though, you think...
Oh, they're not done yet. You're right. Wilson behind the goal after the Engineers win the defensive zone draw. Poked along by Jerry, right in front of the New Hampshire bench. Carried on further. Stout will shoot it in. Owen Stout trying to chase it down. Freshman from West Vancouver, British Columbia. Kept in by Richards. Richards at the far boards where Wilson helps him out. Shoots it down low. Stout upended in the corner. Lost the puck. Lobbed up the far side. Good hit there by Wilson, separating his man from the puck and his stick as he knocked down McAdams. Prapavesis now wrapped up in the near corner. Given away there. Blackburn a tight angle shot. Rebound saved by Marshall. Another rebound comes free. No cover. And now it's gathered in by Richards. Engineers have numbers if they want to hurry. Richards across for Prapavesis. Drop pass there. Wrist shot coming. That one hit bodies and is turned back the other way. Now Kelleher on for Sato. Kelleher across. Shot was blocked by Moore. Rebound shot and a save by Marshall on the left pad. Now it's gathered in by Moore. He'll lob it out to center ice. New Hampshire gaining in the shots on goal department. It's now just 12-9 RPI. 3-2 goals in favor of the visitors from Durham. Pass intercepted by Polino. Stick handling Orval. Orval in. Drop off for Polino. A shot over the top. Might have even glanced off the crossbar on its way through. But it'll be a face-off in the New Hampshire zone. And RPI breaking quickly there from the neutral zone, creating another scoring chance in this game.
Yeah, that Polino Orval Tyranny's line was really picking up the pace and creating chances. And Polino there just put one high over the net. 13-18 left to play in the second. 2-3 rather. UNH leads 3-2. I'd like to remind you, you're all listening to 91.5 FM WRPI Troy.
Face-off win for the Engineers. Shot just high there from Moore. Karams to the near half wall. Now flipped to center. Blackburn. His shot was blocked away by the Engineers' defense at the blue line. Fed ahead for Orval. That's Emil. Too far for him. Gathered in by Gildan. He'll go D to D for Marks and out carried into the zone. Making a move is Kelleher. Fired wide. Kept in near side by Gildan. Van Riemsdyk. Stick handling behind the goal. Poked away by Grant. Swats it to the near boards. Gildan pinching in. Behind the cage. Trying to center. It's broken up nicely. The try by Blackburn, and now out comes Hayhurst. Hayhurst, a little spark plug for RPI. Just lost the handle on the puck. Now he gives a whack to the shin pad of Gildan as he uses that long reach. Max Gildan at 6'3", 191. You can see why he's an NHL draft choice. As it's 12 points from the blue line already. Now a centering pass there. It was broken up. Picked up on the other side by Vela. Tie up in the far corner of the RPI zone. 12-10 to go in the second. 3-2 New Hampshire leads. Manley trying to shoot it up far side. It was broken up. And now twisting and turning is Yzerman. Yzerman lost the puck. Manley has it behind the Engineers' net. Up the boards for York, who chips it off the glass to center. Broken up at center ice by the Engineers. Here's Liljegren in near side along the boards. Liljegren, a tight angle shot. Rebound pops free. Picked up by York. Back to the point here from Manley. Manley will shoot it right back in. Whiffing behind the cage. Lets it run to the near corner. He's tied up and lost it. Stolen away by Wise. And now it's New Hampshire to center. Nazarian on for Vela. A wrister saved by Marshall. Cover up before anyone else can get there.
Yeah, and that time Lyndon Marshall did a good job with the rebound as you had a New Hampshire player crashing. That was Nazarian. And didn't let it get out in front of him. And a nice save by Lyndon Marshall. And on the other end, Victor Liljegren with the weird angle shot. Charlie Manley just backing up instead of attacking forward. Otherwise, Manley could have had an open net look. 11:32 left to play in the second. 3-2 UNH.
50th all-time meeting between RPI and New Hampshire. Wildcats lead this one 26-23. No ties between these two schools in 49 previous meetings. Just didn't like to tie, I guess. It has to be the most games without a tie for RPI in school history. Well, before I make that claim, I'll probably have to look that up. Here's Polino. Gildan shooting it around far side. This will leave the zone. This might even be icing here in New Hampshire. If it has the legs, and it looks like it does. That'll send a face-off back down. 11:07 to play in the second. 3-2 New Hampshire. A couple of power play goals have the Wildcats in front here.
Yeah, both back-to-back power play goals by Salvaggio for New Hampshire. One on a rebound given up right in the middle of the ice by Lyndon Marshall. Salvaggio posted home, and one was just a great angle. Really nothing anybody could do on that. 11:07 left to play in the second. 3-2 UNH and RPI.
Face-off here. Marks plays it behind for Gildan. Up the boards, touch pass on for McNicholas. McNicholas dumps it in. Race for the puck. Mears Moore, the first one there. Takes a look around, plays it to the far corner for Billy Jerry. Jerry with his 4th goal of the year here tonight. He's also scored last time out, make it 2-2 for Billy Jerry, the freshman from River Falls, Wisconsin.
So we're going to get a whistle as the puck went out of play here. 10:51 to play in the second. 3-2 UNH over RPI on a Wednesday night here on a very mild night in Troy. At least it was mild when I left my house. We haven't been out in a while, so could have cooled off by then, but mild nonetheless.
Face off in the RPI zone. Hayhurst chips it off the glass, trying to glove it down. Actually, we're going to play on here. It might have been played with a UNH high stick, which is why they would stop going for it. Engineers elected to play it. Behind the goal now. To the point for Boyd. Boyd, a wrister off the end wall. Karams to the far side now. Turning with it in the corner there was Sato. And now it's moved ahead. Burgess chips it around his man. He'll pick it up in the corner. Wrap to the far point. Some room for Manley. Manley into the slot. Hayhurst nearly had it there. Gets another try. Takes a shot. Save. Rebound. Another stop by the right pad of Tironi as he absolutely denies Orval. And Orval takes a fistful in the face mask. And they're rumbling and tumbling next to the UNH goal.
Yeah, and I think UNH has taken exception to Orval poking at the puck, but the puck was clearly in front of Tironi, and Orval was just trying to get onto his stick. So a nice aware play by Orval and Hayhurst to get the shot off. And then Orval was right there as he was just going for the rebound.
Yeah.
As we're going to get a pair of penalties, one on each side.
Yeah, they're going to get Hayhurst here and Chanter, the captain for New Hampshire. Hayhurst must have been something after the whistle.
It was after the play. Hayhurst
Right.
and Chanter, I think, both went down. I think Chanter came in and cross-checked Hayhurst, and Hayhurst took
Right.
exception to it.
Right, and we should be even out of this, you have to imagine.
Yeah.
10:08 to play in the second period. 3-2 New Hampshire. Shots are 15-12 Engineers, and we're going to play 4-on-4, I think. Both penalties are on the board. So matching minor penalties here. Well, Engineers only have 2 out there. They might want to send out 2 more. Big group out there for RPI, a lot of veterans. Yeah, Whiffen, Liljegren, Prapavessis, and Wilson. For New Hampshire, it's Blackburn with Mass, Van Riemsdyk, and Wise. Van Riemsdyk into the zone. 9 points on the year for Brendan Van Riemsdyk, as I mentioned, the youngest of the 3 brothers. All playing for New Hampshire. Now, chip back to the point for Wise. He keeps it in. Kicked at by Wilson, and now Whiffen passes behind Liljegren. Van Riemsdyk back to get it in his own zone. Some pressure coming from Liljegren. Nearly stole it away. But in the end, it's Wise to center for Mass. Mass trying to make a move around his man. He was tied up a bit there by Prapavessis. Didn't allow him to get around, and now Moore goes down in the corner. Looked to be more on his own accord than anything else, and it's flipped back to the far side for Prapavessis. Saucer pass broken up. Prapavessis picks it up again. New Hampshire changing. Prapavessis into the zone. Tyrannese into the circle. Tyrannese a backhander. That one's turned away easily by Tironi and gathered in by Gildan. Back behind. Here's Grasso. Grasso back for Gildan. Turning around in his own zone. 43 seconds left to 4-on-4 play here. It's Gildan navigating neutral ice into the zone. Lost it there. Picked away by Moore. Near side for Will Riley. 4-on-4 is where Will Riley can show off some of that athletic ability as it's Moore fanning on the shot. Gets it right back. He'll elect to just chip it in. Wraps around to the near side boards. Waiting for it there is Tyrannese, and he lost it. He was tied up. And now played on further. Grasso shoots it in. Marshall slows it up. Spinning puck in the near corner. Will Riley there, as is Moore. Moore comes away with it. 4 seconds left before the penalties expire. 8 minutes 8 to go in the second. 3-2 New Hampshire. Will Riley on the move into the zone on his backhand. Twisting and turning. Lost it, but goes and grabs it in the corner. Far side, backhanded down low. Here's Polino. Spin move. Trying to get loose behind the net. Centering pass out in front. And it comes free. Dragging it forward. There was Orval. Couldn't corral. Now it's shot all the way down the ice. There's Grant just off the bench. He'll try and track it down. They wave off the icing. Iserman and Grant tie up. Puck comes free to Manley. Manley chipping it forward neatly for Jerry. Now on for Orval. Jesper Orval into the zone far side. And the whistle goes on and offside. Whistle.
Yeah, I think Polino just had a step. He was just a little bit too fast as they got Polino on the offsides. But RPI again showing flashes in the zone, and we're going to get the long whistle again as they come out to clean up the ice. 7:36 left to play in the second. 3-2 UNH leads RPI on a pair of power play goals by Salvaggio for UNH. So both teams trying to fight out. Got to give credit to RPI though; they're not folding up by any means. They're attacking, and Jacob Hayhurst trying to do what he can out there to jumpstart his team. But unfortunately for RPI, nothing doing on that end yet in this period. So we will get both teams back out on the ice, and we'll resume play momentarily.
It is the most games the Engineers have played without a tie. Middlebury is, I guess, the second we've mostly played with the 38, but we don't play them anymore, so there's no threat of playing any more. I guess you could call them tieless games with Middlebury. The Panthers, are in Division 3. Wilson lobbing it up the near side. So I guess, are we due for a tie? I'm sure the fans at home don't want to hear that. Iserman chips it around one man into the zone. Orval, the back check, shot and a goal. Iserman picks out the top right corner. And it's 4-2, New Hampshire. With 7:08 to go in the second period.
Yeah, another perfectly placed shot, this time by Iserman. He just puts it in the back of the net past Lyndon Marshall. As Orval was all over Iserman, but Iserman just puts it, puts a great shot in. Marshall didn't really come out to try to cut off the angle a lot. Maybe he thought that Orval had the defense, but he did not. And the result of the play is the fourth goal for UNH.
So it's now a 2-goal lead for New Hampshire, its largest of the night. Poked at there by Liljegren, picked up by York. Shot was blocked in the far circle and now chipped along. Under 7 to go in the second. 4-2 New Hampshire. They shoot it in. Sato around to the far side. Dug out of there by McAdams. Now to the point. Near point Boyd, a shot goes wide. It caroms all the way around to the far side for McAdams once more. He's wrapped up by Liljegren. Bouncing puck skips right by Grant. And now Moore is going to try and find it near side. He ties up with Chris Miller. Lob towards center. Glove down by Boyd. Poked at by Liljegren. Victor Liljegren into the zone near side. Pulls it back. Tries to make a move. It's poked away by Tironi in the end. Picked right back up by Liljegren. Throws a forearm shiver into his man. Fed far side now. Wrist shot coming. Save, rebound. Skips to the legs of Richards. And now Riley behind the net for Whiffen. He's taken down on a trip and a penalty coming up. Engineers going back on the power play in a big spot here. 6 minutes to go in period number 2. And the Engineers can now try and get one back here on their 4th power play.
Yeah, because every time for a power play goal, this is it right now to get back within 1 here and try to get back into this game as UNH has taken away the momentum from the Engineers. Engineers came out really fast and really good at taking it to UNH. UNH made their adjustments and now sort of taking over the game here.
Face off here. Shot all the way down by the Wildcats, and the Engineers will start back up from their own zone. Burgess on the move. Chips it off the far boards and in deep. Scrap for the puck. Burgess wings it back to the point for Prapavesis. Prapavesis walking in. A near side drive off the mask on the try by Wilson. Back to the point once more. Prapavesis back to Wilson. Another drive, and that one's blocked by the defense as Anthony Wise got in front of that one. Engineers teeing up Wilson. It's a high percentage shot. Wilson had a power play goal against Yale last Friday. Shot around. Wilson waiting for it. Chips it high off the glass. Gloved at by Liljegren. He needs to be the next Engineer to touch it. And it won't be a moot point as New Hampshire shoots it all the way down. Lyndon Marshall stops it there. Under 5 to go in the second. 4-2 UNH. Stick handling Prapavesis. Near side. Engineers are offside. That's not what you're looking for there. Prapavesis threw the pass and then stepped across the blue line.
Yeah, RPI trying to get back into the game, and Jared Wilson doing his part. And it's shots like that where you hope your mask stays in place.
Yeah, a shot like that will crack a goalie mask. But Tirone staying cool and collected, just acted like he was trying to do that. And no harm, no foul for Tirone in his mask. Face-off win for the Engineers in the neutral zone. Will Riley gathers it. He'll skate it ahead and slam it in. Rattles it around for Hayhurst. Spinning in the far side corner, still Hayhurst. Behind for Liljegren. Liljegren whacks it off the glass. Emil Orval to the point for Riley. Back to Orval. Orval looking for the redirect in front, trying to reenact the goal that Hayhurst scored against Brown, and now a shorthanded breakaway. Here's Grasso walking in. Grasso on the backhand, he put it over the top, and it goes into the netting. Remember that save for Marshall. If the Engineers do come back in this one, because that would have been a shorthanded goal, it would have made it 5-2. And it was a diving poke check. I don't know who it was. Getting back in the play, it might have been Riley. But do you see who it was? Made the diving poke check there?
I did not.
It at least pestered Grasso enough where he didn't have a clean look.
Yeah, and it sounds like that. I think RPI actually reacted to the red light going on. It clearly wasn't a goal. The red light accidentally goes on. It looked like RPI stopped playing momentarily, and they reacted to the red light going on. And that's what enabled UNH to basically get a 2-on-0 shorthanded breakaway chance. But Grasso just putting it over the net. Nice save by Lyndon Marshall. But RPI has to have better awareness on the ice as the red light went on. RPI momentarily, very briefly, stopped playing, wondering what was going on. And UNH, they broke free shorthanded. So now they're Fiola and Emanation talking about where the faceoff should be, and don't know what that was about, though.
Yeah, it looked like Marshall might have gotten his blocker on it. We'll see if they give him credit for the save. Face-off win for New Hampshire. Yep, they do. Grasso rather. So a shot on goal. That puck fed into the zone. Prapavessis finds it there. Prapavessis on for Wilson. Out of the box is Miller. And the Engineers 0 for 4 in the power play. And now the Wildcats are offside. Nazarian brought it across the line a little bit after Shane Iserman.
Yeah, New Hampshire looking to take advantage of the botched change of the Engineers coming off the bench. And Nazarian just a little bit too anxious, resulting in him being offside. 3:47 left to play in the second. 4-2 UNH over RPI.
Face-off. Won by RPI. Shot up the boards for Richards. Comes right back to Riley. Riley back to Richards. Into the zone near side. Jerry had to wait at the blue line and to turn things up from a standstill, but he does battle for the puck in the corner. Comes free behind the net for the Wildcats. Wrapped around to the near half wall. Jerry back to the point for Riley. Riley settles a bouncing puck. Fires it wide. Looking for a redirect. That didn't come. Fed to center. Backing up to get it is Richards. Threw it right onto the tape of Vela. Vela back in. Pulls it back. Takes a wrister that goes wide. And that'll leave the zone all the way down. The Wildcats will track it down there. It's Boyd. Takes a look around before picking up the puck. And Richard Boyd will get things started here for New Hampshire on the breakout. Near side, Blackburn. Threw it around one man, but it's intercepted by Whiffen. Whiffen carries into the zone. Liljegren now had a crack at it. But it's going to be Liam Blackburn who moves it ahead to center for Van Riemsdyk. He'll dump it into the far corner. First one to it, Mears Moore. Shoots it off the glass out to center, out past everybody. They're going to wave off the icing here, as Marks maybe did or could have played that puck. Indirect off the end boards for Gildon, and now quickly ahead to Van Riemsdyk. 3-on-3 as they hit the line. He'll stop there. Feed it across. A backhander is blocked. Rebound loose in front. Swept to the corner by York as the try came from Kelleher. And now York once more. Behind the net for Moore. Lob towards center. Hits Whiffen. He'll chip it on further. Gildon ahead. Or make it Marks rather. Pickpocket there by York. Comes free to Gildon, who shoots it right back into the RPI zone. Picked up by More. It's tipped in deep by Liljegren to avoid the icing. Comes rolling on goal. Tironi faked one way with the goalie stick, then played it the other on the far side. Gildon will start the breakout here for New Hampshire. Shots are 19-15 RPI, but they trail 4-2. 1:49 to go in the second period. Helped into the zone, far side by Grasso. Now Prapavesis skates behind the net. Prapavesis on the move. Turns back towards his own zone and flips it up the near side boards for Burgess. Trying to work it across for Hayhurst. Didn't have enough on it. Intercepted by Grasso and taken back over again by New Hampshire. Broken up at the blue line here. Walking in is Orval across Hayhurst. A shot saved by Tironi. It was a steal at the blue line by Emil Orval. And now swing and a miss at the blue line. Wilson can't keep it in. Back to the Engineers and now broken up again by Emil Orval. Played it on further for Burgess. Todd Burgess into the zone far side. Pulls it back top of the circle. Wrist shot right on and a save by Tironi. He does not allow a rebound.
Well, you know, Todd Burgess and RPI trying to generate that offense, doing what they have to do, taking shots on Tironi. We've seen him drop pucks right down in front of him before in the past. Unfortunately for RPI and Todd Burgess, that time was not one of them, as that one will go right into the pads and be hung on for face-off. 1:09 left to play in the second, 4-2 UNH over RPI.
Face-off coming here is a 2-goal New Hampshire lead. RPI trying to draw one back here before the end of the period. Stolen away far side, although Jesper Orval went down. Cleared off the glass to center. Charlie Manley back to pick it up. Lots of pressure, lobs it to center. Finds Polino. Polino chipping in, takes a hit there. Good board play from Gildon. Now Gildon's knocked down at center, or excuse me, in his own zone. We play on here. He's still looking for a penalty. Eiserman with a shot saved by Marshall. Doesn't corral the rebound, but Manley does. Up the near side boards, Polino. On for Orval. Lobbing further for Tierney's. Tierney's in the zone, takes a shot, it's blocked. Riamon goes behind the goal. Back to the point, nobody there. Wilson was coming off the bench, and Tierney's just played it back to nobody in the end as Wilson goes back to get it. Wilson near side for Riley. Riley with speed into the zone. Will Riley in. He's taken down and gets hit hard into the corner. And that was a dangerous hit on Riley after he was tripped. And we're going to see what comes of this. Riley quickly back to his feet, but he had nothing to brace himself from smashing his head into the wall. He was on his knees because he was tripped. I mean, it's not going to be 2 penalties, Ed, but it almost feels like it could be.
Yeah, and it was kind of dangerous. Miller took the initial trip, and then Miller didn't really get out of his way so they could brace themselves, but so Riley could brace himself, and Miller just sort of rode him right into the boards and finished the check as Will Riley going into the board. So it could have been penalty even could have been extended on Miller.
Yeah, you don't ever see that, but it seemed like it could have been. Anyway, here's a shot by Wilson that goes wide to Tironi. Engineers on the power play for the 5th time. This should carry over. Just 9 seconds to go in the period. Hayhurst tied up in the corner with 5. This is maybe where the period ends. Now it comes free to Orval. Centering pass comes free. Wilson! And the horn went before he could get the shot away. But looks like Riley is all right. He's up on the bench and looks like to be in healthy form here to go back in this one. But it was like I said, dangerous looking hit in the corner after it turned out to be a hold. So RPI will start the 3rd on the power play. This is their 5th power play chance of the night. That's really the difference in this game. You look at the board. UNH 2 for 2 on the power play. RPI 0 for 5. And it's a 2-goal lead for the Wildcats.
Yeah.
As we hit the 40-minute mark, 40 minutes played.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt Riley's going to get checked out by the Engineers training staff back in the locker room as he was getting back to the ice, sort of took his helmet off and shook the cobwebs out, if you will. But fortunately, he is up and skating under his own powers. We'll see if he comes back onto the ice for the 3rd period of play. But RPI in the midst of that Miller penalty. So Coach Smith will make his adjustments again, and we'll see if RPI can put 2 goals on the board like they did in the 1st period. The score here after 2 periods of play is UNH 4, RPI 2. You're listening to live coverage of Engineer men's hockey on 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy.
few seconds. You have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on. Number 66, number 66. The winner of the practice group, Lebanon, Jones, Jones, RPI hockey. Goes back GE, Hose, Septic, CBPHP. Boucher, Clark, Market, 32 by Boy Scout. Yankee Trails, Red Front Region. Tri-City Raiders, Dunkin' Donuts, Toyota, Freedom Music Program, CBTA, Ben and Jerry's, Warren W. Fane, Boucher and Clark Benefits, Wicked Smart, Gatherers Granola, Flyhoppers, Howard Canna Realty, RPI Chapel, Cultural Center, and Tri-City Valley Fans, all proud sponsors of RPI Hockey. This past Thursday, the city of Tahoe experienced the worst fire in its history. 22 fire departments, ambulance agencies, county service departments around the state, and nearly 2 dozen buildings are affected by the fire. And numerous sitting in the back on the street, RPI ambulance is collecting non-perishable food items, clothing, such as socks and underwear, toiletries, and monetary donations. If you'd like to help the families affected, drop these items off or make a cash donation at the RPI ambulance stable in front of the Hampshire Squad area. Tonight, our Tuesday this week, Holly and the rest of the reunion at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Fieldhouse on the campus of Troy, New York, and on the campus of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York is what I was trying to say. For today's third period of action between the RPI Engineers and the University of New Hampshire Wildcats, score after 2 periods of play is UNH 4, RPI 2. You're listening to live coverage of Engineering Hockey on 91.5 FM at WRPI Troy. Ed DeGarry and Perry Lascaris here on the call for you from the Fieldhouse. Before we get started with the third period of play, we'd like to thank the Rensselaer Union, which provides funding for WRPI and all club-related activity of the Institute, including WRPI's coverage of RPI men's and women's ice hockey, football, and baseball. And we'd like to remind you that we are on the World Wide Web. Point your browser to www.wrpi.org. And you can hear our broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So long as WRPI is broadcasting, we will provide the broadcast on that internet feed. Once again, it is www.wrpi.org.
Brown trails Bentley 2-1 after 2. RPI now here down a couple goals to the Wildcats, number 13 UNH. After 2 periods, RPI will have a new goaltender, Chase Perry, in there for RPI, replacing Lyndon Marshall. So Marshall's day presumably is done. Perry, maybe if the Engineers can get a couple of goals and get him a victory. Marshall, 53 minutes played, 12 saves on 16 shots. So he gives up 5 and 4 goals on back-to-back outings after only giving up 1 to Yale, who went on then to beat Union on Saturday. But it's Chase Perry in there, the junior from Andover, Minnesota, making his 9th appearance, but his first in relief. Chipped along for RPI. Remember, still in the power play here. Van Riemsdyk was without his stick, but he's got it back. And now it pops to the slot, poked out to center, gathered in by Prapavesis. 50 seconds to go on RPI's 5th power play as the third period is just underway. Prapavesis stick handling through the middle, fed far side off the boot of Orval. Emil into the far corner. Picked up Prapavesis there. Stick handling along the boards, gives it off to Orval. 32 to go in the power play for the Engineers. Could really use a goal here. Orval off for Hayhurst, back to the point for Prapavesis, fakes his shot. Gives it off for Hayhurst, far side, back to Prapavesis. Nice gather with his skate at the blue line. And now Prapavesis once more, fed through the middle. Karam's all the way behind the net, where it's picked up by Liljegren. He gets tugged down a bit. Shot by Hayhurst is blocked. Out to the near side for Wilson. Wilson tees one up. A save by Taroni, and he holds on. Wilson had time to gather the puck and rip one. It looked like Taroni saw just enough of it. He was able to hold on. Yeah,
and Liljegren was right there with the screen. Good positioning by Liljegren, but Taroni able just to see enough of it to hold on for it and not let the rebound fall in front of him. 18:21 left to play in the second. 4-2 UNH.
Penalty about to expire. Now it's over. RPI 0 for 5. Still in the attack. Shot skips wide off the stick of Riley. John Richards now in the far corner. Stopping there. Spins up the boards. He's hit against the wall. Now Jerry back to the point for Riley. Near point for Manley. Manley wrist towards goal. Redirected by Stout wide. Picked up on the other side by Jerry. This RPI 4th line has looked very strong in the offensive end tonight. They do have accounted for the first of RPI's 2 goals here, as it's skated back the other way by Vela. Vela into the zone, broken up there. Billy Jerry chops it off the boards out to center. Swung back in by Wise and corralled by the Engineers. Will Riley on it here. Shots are 24-16 RPI, but they trail 4-2. 2.5 into the third. Riley shooting it near side, hits off the glass. It's poked at by Vela. Played into the zone by Polino, but gathered right back again by UNH. Now Vela trying to break in. That one's broken up. Sent back into the Engineers' end, gathered there by Tyrannese. Evan Tyrannese, the junior centerman from Qualcomm Beach, BC, dumps it in. He'll try and chase it down. Runs into Mass, knocks it free. Van Riemsdyk off the wall, and out to center comes Blackburn. His outlet pass for Kelleher, too far. Gathered in by Moore. He'll shoot it around far side. Tommy Grant over there first. He gets hit, lost the puck. Broken up by Tyrannese. Nice job to backtrack there. And now Kelleher, near point for Chanter. Arister, that one's blocked in front, never got to Perry. Gathered in by Tyrannese. He'll skate the other direction with Orval. And Polino. Polino, a drop pass, no, was broken up, goes in deep anyway. Patrick Polino to the far point. Prapavesis fakes a shot, takes a shot that goes wide. Picked up by Polino now. Polino back to the point for Prapavesis. He'll lob it right back down low, no, broken up by Chanter. And he'll move it to center ice. Fed far side behind Van Riemsdyk, gathered in again by the Engineers. Moore holding, zips it through off a Whiffen and all the way down. So no icing here, but it's Gilden to pick it up. Gilden far side, lobbing up the wall. On further, Prapavesis knocks it down right across the blue line. He'll shoot it back in. Engineers touch up and chase again. Whiffen lets it run for Liljegren. Liljegren a tiny goal shot. Rebound loose in the circle. It's poked free to the point for Wilson. Wilson, a wrister, redirected, no. It skims all the way right to the far corner. Prapavesis at the point. Spins it right back down low for Whiffen. Whiffen tied up there by Boyd. Pops free all the way to the point, glove down by Prapavesis. Played along for Liljegren, who, falling to the ice, is able to get it in deep for Whiffen again. Good offensive zone pressure for RPI, and it's shot directly out of play. Would have been a 2-minute penalty in the NHL, but not here. Just a face-off in the New Hampshire zone.
Yeah, good pressure by RPI. Good job by Liljegren keeping the puck in the zone and really forcing UNH to do something. And they chose to flick the puck out of play. 15:30 left to play in the third. UNH leads RPI by a score of 4-2.
Only penalty there for New Hampshire is they're not allowed to change. Shooting the puck out of play like that. 25 shots now for RPI to just 16 for New Hampshire. They're going to need to beat Danny Tironi 2 more times. There's a shot deflected over the top, high off the glass behind the New Hampshire goal. McAdams clears to center, knocked down by Riley. Tried to turn it around quickly, but threw it right to Boyd, who plays it up the wall. Now Hayhurst, he'll jump on a loose puck. New Hampshire changing. RPI trying to move in. A pass across from Orval. And maybe one too many passes there from RPI as Orval might have had a cleaner look. He tried to feed it through some skates. New Hampshire ices it anyway. And so that partial change they got, there's still a few players out there that have been out there for quite some time. They'll have to stay, including Boyd, the defenseman, will have to head back for this face-off.
Yeah, definitely one too many passes there. Orval should have shot that. As RPI had a 3-on-2, but the no shot to show for it. 15:06 left to play in the third. 4-2 UNH over RPI.
Jerry tossed from the dot, but then Richards wins it forward, and Jerry's shot goes high off the glass. Going down in the corner was Richards. Puck stays alive there. Jerry, he's wrapped up. Richards can't keep it in the zone. McAdams clears to center. Now Moore. D-to-D pass to Grant. Played it down ice. Richards did not touch this puck. It will be icing on RPI. And the faceoff will head back down. 14:42 to go in the third. 4-2 New Hampshire. Perry Lascaris, Ed Dergarian here on WRPI. And last game before the holiday break, Engineers trying to end things on a positive note. They'll need to come back here.
Yeah, hopefully they're not looking forward to their holiday break as they still have to battle back from 2 goals. Here it's 4-2 UNH right now from the fieldhouse.
Shot partially deflected. Chase Perry hasn't seen a shot here in the first 5.5 minutes of this period after replacing Lyndon Marshall. Billy Jerry stick handling through center. Fanned on one pass, second effort, hit the referee, or linesman rather. Tied up on the blue line. Nice job to stay on side by Richards. It's shot in deep by Stout, who goes off for a change. Billy Jerry, the lone forechecker here, as RPI will change 4 behind him. Wildcats have it. Marks plays catch with his defensive partner Wise, who shoots it in. Glove down by Perry. That may be a shot on goal. See how they score it. Polino to center off the skate of Jesper Orval. Does a nice job to gather. He'll carry it to the line. Played across for Tyrannies. A little toe drag to get free. Far side circle. Evan Tyrannies behind the goal. All the way around. Shot coming from Wilson. He scores! Great bit of play there. Stick handling. Evan Tyrannies walked all the way around the net and found his friend Wilson, who smashed it in near post.
Yeah, nice job by Evan Tyrannies going all the way around the net. Thought about maybe doing a backhand wraparound, but saw Wilson at the last minute. And he was screened with Tyrannies, and another UNH player was there screening Tironi for UNH. And that may have been tipped by Tyrannies on the shot from Wilson. We'll have to see how they officially score it. But either way, it's the third goal for RPI.
Face off center ice, Engineers. Might hit a defenseman too. If it is, it's still going to be Wilson's goal. Anyway, we'll give it to Wilson for now. His fourth on the season, making it a 4-3 game. Still plenty of time left, 13:36 in the third. Here's Brady Whiffen behind the UNH goal. Whiffen turning towards the half wall. Being pestered there by Vela, works it down low. Liljegren getting held up in the corner, looking for a penalty, not going to get it. Now he's taken down. There's a wrestling match going on in the near corner of the New Hampshire zone, but referee's saying it's mutual. RPI fans not buying it, but we will play on 5-on-5. Prapovessis behind the goal for Wilson. And now Tyranny is up the near wall, flips it in on the backhand. Stopped by Tironi, played to the near corner for Mass, intercepted. Tyranny trying to walk it out in front, and he put it wide. Nearly caught Tironi out of position, but he just missed the net on a chance there to tie this one up. As they dig away in the near corner, finally worked out here by the Wildcats and Wise, who got the scoring started all the way back in the first period, 2:26 in, or excuse me, 18:01 after Jerry scored to tie it up for New Hampshire. And now it's stick handling in his own zone. Gildan spins away from Burgess and finds Van Riemsdyk up the far wing. Far side, Rister, saved by Perry. Bouncing puck, gathered in again by Van Riemsdyk. He'll play it off the wall to the point for Marks, looking for the redirect in front. Perry's going to pounce on this one. Shot never came to him, as there were plenty of bodies in front. The redirect from Kelleher was going wide, and then Perry just saw the puck lying there, did the smart thing and jumped on it.
Yeah, Wilson does get credit for the goal on assist from Tyrannies and Jesper Orval. And then Tyrannies could have had the fourth one. I think at the last second he saw Burgess coming off the bench. And I think that sort of distracted him a little bit, caused an indecision, and caused it to pull it wide.
Face-off win for New Hampshire in the offensive zone. Kelleher spins it down low. Wilson back behind the net for Grant. On further for Owen Stout at the near half wall. He'll lob it out to center ice. Spinning puck, swatted at by Marks. Big hit at center by Stout, or Polino, excuse me. And now driving the net there was Van Riemsdyk, poked away by Perry. Fed all the way through. Gildan at the far point. Right back down low. Letting it run is Van Riemsdyk. It pops out to the side of the cage where Perry covers, as Blackburn couldn't quite get his stick on it, and then Blackburn gives a couple of gloves to the chest of Grant, and then gives another one. And Tommy Grant must have said something that he didn't like.
Nice job by Perry to reach out and cover the puck, as he prevented from any UNH player from getting it. So Perry did a nice job covering the puck. Perry does a nice job calling the game. So works both ways. 11:43 left to play in the third. 4-3 UNH over NRPI.
Thanks, Ed. I see what you did there. Shots are 27-20. Still plenty of time left in this one. It's a one-goal game after RPI drew a little bit closer on Jared Wilson's fourth goal on the season. Near corner, twisting and turning over there was Sato rather. He'll battle for it with Riley. Trying to clear the zone was York, couldn't do so. Puck back behind the RPI goal. Brady Whiffen the first one there. Takes a whack from Sato. And Riley comes out of the pile with it once more. Manley on for Liljegren. He'll skate into the zone near side. Victor Liljegren in, trying to make a move. Chanter does enough to force him wide. All the way around the net goes Liljegren. All the way to the far point. Still Liljegren. Lap number 2 on the way. Liljegren knocked off his stick, and he's knocked down. Puck between his legs. He Trying to get back up, and it's going to be pickpocketed there. York stole it away. York down low for Liljegren once more. Wraparound try, lost the handle. Whiffing a try, saved by Tironi. Into the far corner they go. Boyd whacks it to the near side. Now Chanter. Good connection to center. Lobbed into the zone and chased by Sato. Sato roughed up by Prapavesis at the far half wall. 10:30 to go in the third. 4-3 New Hampshire. Worked free to the point. Wrist shot coming. Easy glove save for Perry. He'll hold on to it there. Wise was just trying to keep the play alive, I think. I think he meant to dump that one into the corner, but a little bit too close to the net. Perry just grabbed it and held on.
Yeah, but on the other end, got to give credit to Victor Liljegren taking pretty much 2 laps around the goal after, and finally Chandru just said, that's enough of this ridiculousness. I'll just put you on the ice. And then you're coming and pickpocketing it.
Off the draw, a couple of shot attempts there, but none of them got to goal from New Hampshire. And now it's just played ahead, picked up by Hayhurst, who wants to skate with it. Gets it ahead to Burgess, stick handling, right back to Hayhurst. Nice play. Hayhurst in on his backhand, a glove save by Tironi. Rebound pops free to Tyrannies. To the point now for Riley, some room. A drive! That one stopped by Tironi. Rebound loose. Trying to gather it in is McNicholas, who can't clear the zone. Good keep by Manley, who shoots it into the far corner. Hayhurst on it now. Down low for Tyrannies. Tyrannies, nice spin move. Centering pass. Oh, he had a man, Hayhurst. He just couldn't pull the trigger. Puck played to the far side corner. Burgess wrapped up there. Back to the point for Riley once more. Near point for Manley. A wrister. That one was blocked in front. It hit Wise on the way through, and out comes McNicholas. On for Salvaggio, who's been pretty quiet since scoring those 2 power play goals. Turning and shooting. Saved by Perry. Caught him up high. It was Grasso. And he will cover. Back and forth action here at the Houston Fieldhouse. 9:23 to go in the third. UNH holding on to that 4-3 lead.
Yeah, and RPI really putting their foot on the gas pedal as Evan Tyrannies really and Jacob Hayhurst really creating offense out there and doing a good job keeping the puck in play, especially behind the net. Unfortunately for them, they just couldn't find the back of the net, and Will Riley taking a shot. And it's the second mask save for Tironi, as one by Wilson and one by Riley. So 2 powerful defensemen shots. He had to stop with his mask, which is a difficult task for any goaltender. 9:23 to play in the third period. UNH leads RPI 4-3. Jared Wilson getting credit for that 3rd RPI goal from Evan Tyrannies and Jesper Orval. And that's where we stand in the Houston Fieldhouse. But you can tell RPI not quitting, not giving up, keeping their foot on the gas, and they're very close from getting their 4th goal from Tironi, and Tironi doing a really good job in that for UNH.
6 shots in the third period on Chase Perry. He stopped them all. All he's going to be asked to do is just shut New Hampshire out for the remainder of this game. Here comes Stout into the zone. Trying to make a move, poked away. Nice play by Marks using that reach to knock it away from Owen Stout. Flip back out to center. RPI trying to recharge there. Although it's played ahead behind Stout this time. Broken up right in front of the RPI bench and carried in. Here's Nazarian shooting to the far corner. Tommy Grant with some pressure from Vela. Slaps it around to the near side. Half wall. Stout off the boards. Marks keeps it in. Glove down by Tommy Grant. Trying to escape some pressure. Shoots it off the boards and does get it out of the zone. Finding Polino, who finishes the job on the dump in. RPI changing all 5 as it's going to be Gildan from behind his own goal. Marks near side. Tipped in deep by Nazarian. Gathered in by Wilson there. Plays it back for Prapavesis near side of the RPI end. Mike Prapavesis into the middle of the ice. Whiffen has some room. Whiffen stick handling through center. Lost the puck. Engineers are offside. Forced so by the poke check. Fans don't like it, but looked like the right call from Mike Emanation up here. 8:20 on the clock, third period. And time not a factor yet, Ed, but we're getting to that point where it starts to become one.
Yeah, I mean, you still got about 3 minutes or so before it does. So RPI, doesn't have to hold their sticks a little tight just yet, but, they still want to keep a foot on the gas.
Right, and it seems like they have been. Don't need to really change anything the way they've been playing. It seems like another goal in the cards here in this one. Prapavesis up the boards for Burgess. On further, good connection to Hayhurst. Hayhurst shoots it in deep. He'll chase it around Wise to be the first one to it. Here's Tierney's feeding it off the far side now, picked up by Prapavesis. He'll filter it down low for Tierney's again. He's having a good game, Evan Tierney's. Shoved against the far boards by Mass. Nice strength by Burgess. Stolen away now by Tierney's. Twisting and turning, trying to get away from Mass. Is trying to check him. Hayhurst out of the corner, near side. Stick handling, lost the puck. Poked free, but out to center. Prapavesis will track it down there. Backtracking to his own zone, wanting it quickly. Tierney's ahead quickly for York. York on the move. A wrister is blocked away by Wise into the netting, and we get a stoppage.
Yeah, deflected by Wise. York doing a good job coming off the bench, and Tierney's finding him. Just keeps himself onside as York, and York with a quick snapshot gets deflected up into the netting. 7:25 left to play in the third. UNH leads RPI by a score of 4-3.
Shot attempts are 64 to 35 RPI in this game. Here's Liljegren. Lost the puck on the far side. He was wrapped up there. The stick of Boyd, but we play on. Bouncing puck in the near circle of the RPI zone. Played towards the point, but not out. York breaking. Whiffen couldn't find him. Kept in by New Hampshire. It was good defense there by Manley on Grasso. Grasso tried to walk him, tried to play through his legs. Bro's broken up. Now far side, Grasso on it once more. Met by Manley, who just chips it on further. Salvaggio shoots it off the boards of the point. It's shot by Boyd, is blocked in front. Maybe hit his own man. That was McNicholas. His shot's blocked by Riley. They tie up there behind the goal. Riley and McNicholas still going at it. And it's Whiffen who comes away with it. Shooting it near side. Chanter pinching in around Liljegren. Centering pass, and they score. A one-timer in front. I think it was McNicholas who got his stick on it. And it's 5-3 New Hampshire with 6:32 to go.
Yeah, again, the RPI, defense, they were there, but McNicholas just getting his stick and it going into the back of the net for UNH's fifth goal. So it's 5-3, a UNH over RPI here. So after that first period, RPI came out scoring 2 goals. It's been really all UNH. I don't want to say all UNH, but UNH has really controlled the game, and that was just, again, another off-angle shot. And McNicholas got a stick on it, and that was it in the back of the net.
So the shot there makes it 5-3 New Hampshire as it's fed up the boards by Grant and in deep. Engineers need 2 again. Still time to get them. Bouncing puck, swatted at out of the zone, right to Prapavesis. Waiting for a couple to touch up. He eventually shoots it in on Tironi. He'll leave it aside. Marks off the glass. Broken up there. It leaves the zone, and the Engineers touch it again. It'll be offside. RPI shoots it into an open net after the whistle. Fans enjoyed that, but it's not going to count, as we'll draw things up in the neutral zone.
6:06 left to play. You're listening to live coverage of Engineer men's hockey at 91.5 FM WRPI Troy. And to Gary along with Peerless Garris here from the Houston Fieldhouse. Score here is 5-3 UNH.
Face off, one back by New Hampshire. Gildon in his own zone. A little bit of pressure comes from Burgess. He'll skate it out and play it far side. Lobbed in by Iserman. Prapavesis, the first one there. He takes a hit. Comes free to Tommy Grant. Grant near side. Lobbing it through the neutral zone. Poked at by Burgess. Carried on further by Hayhurst. The Engineers are onside. Ahead for Tierney's. Knocked off his stick. Played it back down low. Gathered in here by Mass. He'll move it ahead to center. Nazarian is there. A shot goes wide from Iserman. Caroms around to the near half wall. Vela throws a hit into Hayhurst. Tierney's trying to come away with a puck. Kicked at by Prapavesis. Too far. Picked up by Mass. Now Vela turning at center ice. Into the zone. Drops it off far side for Nazarian. Nazarian towards the net. Broken up. In front now to the side of the cage. Will be covered by Perry. And we get a stoppage. 5:09 on the clock. It's now 5-3 New Hampshire as Michael McNicholas has given the Wildcats a little bit of breathing room here late in the third.
Yeah, now now time begins to play a factor, so RPI really has to pick up the hustle. But let's not forget too, RPI hit 2 posts, so that's the difference in the game right now. So the goalie's best friend helping UNH out in this one as well.
Shot and a toe save there by Perry on Boyd as he took that slap shot right off the offensive zone draw. Now Chanter back to his own zone. Plays it across with some pressure from Richards. Under 5 to play in the third period. It's a 2-goal New Hampshire lead, 5-3. Whiffen near side of his own zone. Ahead for Jesper Orval, who gloves it down. Ahead for Whiffen. Whiffen in a wrister. Blocker saved by Tironi. And now Riley all the way down low. Fanned on the initial pass. Comes free to the corner. Riley there. Spins it off a skate. It'll be gathered in again by New Hampshire. Finds some open space near side. Chanter. He's cut off by Richards. And picked away by Jesper Orval. Into the zone with Whiffen. Lobbed right back out of play into the RPI bench. And we get another stoppage.
4:23 left to play in the third. UNH leads RPI 5-3. Shots 31-24 in favor of RPI, so they got that going for them. But unfortunately for them, they trail on the scoreboard. They need at least 2 more shots, and they need those 2 shots to find the back of the net.
Yeah, still time. Just the way this game has been played, and I think there's still time, certainly, to get a couple. There's a timeout's been taken here by New Hampshire on that icing call. You are listening to RPI Hockey, 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy. Perilous Garris, Ed Dergarian from the Houston Fieldhouse. December 6th, seems a little early for the last game of the first semester, but that's where we are. Engineers will be back in action on the 29th and 30th against Maine, a team they just played over in Belfast. It'll be a good series, though. RPI and Maine had a good game. It was a 3-2 game, plus an empty netter made it 4-2 Maine. But a chance for the Engineers for some redemption against the Black Bears at the end of the month.
Yeah, not only is it a chance for a redemption against Maine, but it's a chance to build momentum into 2018. You know, we harped on it this game. We kept harping on other games. RPI's young team, if they can get that momentum going, maybe win 2 or maybe even one of those games here, the 29th and 30th of December against Maine, that could go a long way. That could change the whole season. So, of course, RPI still has 4 minutes and 23 seconds left in this one. They want to score 2 goals to tie this one up before they look ahead to those games.
Face off here. Stout plays it across for Grant. Grant, a wrister blocked in the air, high off the glass behind the goal. Kicked at by Jerry, and he missed it. It'll be picked up here by New Hampshire. Wise, far side of his own zone, spins away from Polino's pressure. Shoots it up the near side boards, chipped along by Grasso all the way down. Will this be icing? No. They'll say he crossed center. Billy Jerry now for RPI. Up the boards, pie everybody, no icing here either. Mass back together, takes a look around, some pressure coming from Polino, who throws a hit into him. And now Grasso up the near side boards. For McNicholas, that's broken up. Gathering in again once more is Benton Mass, the freshman from Elk River, Minnesota. Draft choice of the Washington Capitals. A couple of talented freshman blue liners here for New Hampshire. And they seem to always have 1 or 2, whether it be Trevor Van Riemsdyk in recent history. Of course, Tyler Kelleher not bothering the Engineers anymore after they had a hat trick last time out. Yeah, it might have been 2 years ago. Anyway, Tironi trying to clear it out near side. Too far for Tierney's to keep in. Glove down by Wilson, played on by Nazarian. Tierney's couldn't touch that puck. And now Nazarian all the way in. Still making moves. He lost it. He's going to draw a penalty, though. And this will hamper the Engineers' comeback chances. I don't think RPI ever touched that puck, but it's going to be a hook that'll send New Hampshire on its 3rd power play, and they're 2 for 2.
Yeah, and this essentially negates any pulling of the goalie that RPI could do. I mean, they still technically could do it.
They still may.
Yeah, but
it makes it a 5-on-5 instead of a 6-on-5.
Makes it a little harder to do it. So 5-2-3 in favor of UNH as Jared Wilson goes into the penalty box. So it's a power play for UNH with 2:49 left to play in the 3rd.
Face off here, slammed out. Engineers, maybe their hope now is for a shorthanded goal, really. So maybe take some chances here shorthanded. Maybe fly Troy York out of the zone. Here's McNicholas to the point. Gildana, slap shot, and that one took a deflection wide behind the goal. Nazarian back up top. Gildana wrister. Little snapshot that was blocked. Back up top. Into the slot. Shot coming over the top. It was Salvaggio looking for the hat trick there. Engineers just saw a hat trick in this building. It wasn't by an Engineer. It was Tommy Marchand of Brown on Saturday. Here's Salvaggio. Back up top. One-timer and a save by Perry on the toe. On the try by McNicholas. The previous hat trick against the Engineers was by Tyler Kelleher. I don't remember if it was here or there. Here's Gildon. Near side connection. McNicholas far side. One-timer. Another pad stop by Perry. Rebound goes behind the goal. McNicholas once more. Another one-timer. And that one hit bodies in front. Played far side. Back to Salvaggio. One-timer and a goal. Gildon from the middle of the ice. Smashes it past Perry. And it's a 3-for-3 night on the power play for New Hampshire, and it's 6-3.
Yeah, 6-3 UNH over RPI. 1:32 left to play in the third. So Gildon getting the goal from Plano, Texas. He gets the sixth goal for UNH. Again on the power play. So what crowd there was here at the Fieldhouse is starting to head for the doors, as there's still a minute and a half left to play in this one.
Second goal allowed by Perry here. Remember, he's only played this third period on 9 shots. I'll make it 10, rather, for New Hampshire here in the third. But 7th goal of the year for Max Gildon, the freshman U.S. National Under-18 player, showing that scoring prowess from the blue line. Is a shot by Blackburn, turned away by Perry. Van Riemsdyk behind the goal. Prapavessis in the near corner. Takes a couple of whacks from Blackburn. Coming up on a minute to go in regulation here. RPI down 6-3, largest lead of the night for the Wildcats. And now Mass at center, shoots it right back in on the cross corner dump in. Rolling puck behind the goal, gathered in by Prapavessis. On for Tommy Grant. Up the boards, through everybody. And they're going to wave off the icing here. Tironi to play. That one shot into the netting by Tironi. And that'll stop play with 36.3 left.
36.3 seconds remains in this one, as UNH is going to take the 6-3 victory, but there's still officially 30 seconds left to go in this, and RPI playing to the end, but they just couldn't hang with UNH for the last 2 periods.
Face off here, one back to Manley. His shot was partially blocked, goes into the far corner, 29 to go. Burgess, centering pass, right on in front. Shot coming from Manley, skips wide, bouncing out towards the middle of the slot, and it's carried back the other way. 3-on-3 as they hit the line. Fed through, bounced back, and one more rush here maybe for RPI. Burgess with Billy Jerry. Up the boards, Burgess on further. There's a broken stick in the far circle. 8 seconds to go in the game. Dug out by Liljegren. And now played behind by Blackburn. And that should do it. As New Hampshire picks up a 6-3 win, the 13th ranked Wildcats improve to 9-5-1, with RPI dropping to 3-11-3 after our first semester here, first half, if you will, of the season has been finalized here.
Yeah, and it really wasn't a bad game by RPI. They came out, erased the memory of the collapse against Brown. On Saturday, they came out with 2 quick goals and took a 2-1 lead, so they looked really good. And then, UNH the last 2 periods looked like the 13th ranked team in the country playing a young team. And that's exactly what you got. RPI just couldn't hang with UNH for the last 2 periods of play. And, Dick Umili doing a good job of making his adjustments. And, special teams tonight killed RPI. No power play goals, and they let up 3. And there you go, you lose by 3. So, you can't take away the power plays, but to be the cliche, if you take away the power plays, those 3 goals don't happen, and you're looking at a 3-3 game right now. But unfortunately for RPI, you can't do it. Got to do a better job of staying out of the penalty box at inopportune moments, and then if you do happen to take penalties, kill off the penalties. And they just didn't do it tonight, and that was the name of the game.
Certainly. You glance at the stats, that's what pops out. New Hampshire 3 for 3 on the power play. They win by 3. RPI 0 for 5 on the man advantage. They did have 6 shots to the Engineers on the power play. New Hampshire had 8 on their 3 man advantage opportunities. I'll run down the scoring here. There were plenty of goals. Not the most ever, though, in a UNH RPI game. The third ever meeting, New Hampshire won 17-3 in Durham. So I don't think we're going to get there again.
And it's, yeah, I don't think we're going to get there again. I mean, it's going to take a really bad effort by an RPI team to get there again. But, the streak still not coming to an end. Another game with not ending in a tie.
That's right, 50 games.
So extended that streak. One streak ending this weekend. That was Eli Manning's consecutive game streak.
Right.
And another streak continuing, and that's the RPI UNH
not
game
tying.
Without a tie. So.
Yeah. The Giants fans out there can understand that. Not me. I'm a Vikings fan, and they now control their own destiny, I think, for the #1 seed and the Super Bowls in Minneapolis this year. Anyway, we're getting off track here. Ed. Scoring in the game. RPI opened the scoring for, I believe, just the third time this year scoring first. Billy Jerry, his fourth of the year from Owen Stout, made it 1-0 RPI, 2:26 of the first period. New Hampshire drew even in 18:01. Anthony Wise, his second of the year from Benton, Mass. And Brendan Van Riemsdyk made it 1-1. Then RPI just 36 seconds later, Jacob Hayhurst scoring his team-leading 7th goal of the year. At 18:37 from Emil Orval made it 2-1 RPI. Then back-to-back power play goals gave UNH the lead for good. The tying goal at 3:07 of the second, Jason Salvaggio from Patrick Grasso and Michael McNicholas. And then at 5:08, just about 2 minutes later, another goal. Salvaggio is 5th of the year from Grasso, and McNicholas again. Made it 3-2 once again on the power play. Shane Eisman then made it 4-2 at 12:52 of the second from Max Gildan. RPI pulled one goal back at 16:08 of the third. A little bit of life there. Jared Wilson, his 4th goal of the season from Evan Tierney's and Jesper Orval. But then 2 more from New Hampshire. One at 13:28. Michael McNicholas had a big game from Dylan Chanter. Made it 5-3. Then a power play goal. Max Gildan, his 7th of the season from Grasso again and Salvaggio. So a few guys with with 3-point games. That being Salvaggio 2 and 1, McNicholas 1 and 2, and Grasso 3 assists to lead New Hampshire. Ed's offensive and defensive engineers.
Offensively, I think I'm going to give it to Jacob Hayhurst. He was just a spark plug out there. Whenever he was out on the ice for RPI, getting a lot of shots, getting a goal here tonight, and trying to trying to create offense for his team, and he did that. But honorable mention, I think, is going to go to that entire 4th line of Owen Stout, Billy Jerry, and John Richards. They're showing, if they can play hockey. But Jacob Hayhurst is going to get it, and defensively, nobody really stood out in today's game. I think I'm going to go with Jared Wilson. He's a senior. He got a goal. He's just putting shots in, and he's a real solid presence for RPI offensively in their own zone. So
absolutely.
So, any final thoughts, Perry, before we sign off the air?
I think we're good. I think the engineers they've showed the potential that they do have, and it'll be exciting to see how the rest of the season pans out. Still a ton of league hockey to play, and I think you want to be playing your best hockey in February and on further. So there's still time to get in that mode and to be playing good, tough hockey by the end of this year. I certainly look forward to the rest of the season.
Yes, as do all of our RPI fans, and I'm sure the players as well. They want to try to get on the right track here. So that will do it here for the game here from the Houston Fieldhouse. Before we go off the air, we'd like to say a few thank yous. First, we'd like to thank the Rensselaer Union, which provides the funding for WRPI and all club-related activity of the Institute, including WRPI's coverage of RPI men's and women's ice hockey, football, and baseball later on in the year. We'd also like to thank you for listening. If you're listening on the World Wide Web, just point your browser to www.wrpi.org, and you can hear WRPI's broadcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, so long as we are broadcasting. We will provide the broadcast on the internet feed. Once again, it is www.wrpi.org. Also, current RPI students and recent alumni, but mainly students, we want, if you're interested in trying your hand at broadcasting games here, like the one here from the Houston Fieldhouse, you're going to go to the games anyway, you might as well try it. And if you travel to the games, hey, you get to go to those too. So it's going to be, it's a really fun time. I'm glad I got into it my second semester senior year. I graduated in 03 from here RPI, and I've been doing this ever since. And it really is a fun opportunity for me. And I enjoy the games. I enjoy doing it. So if you want to try your hand, come out and just shoot us an email at wrpi-sports@rpi.edu. And we will do our best to accommodate you. There are opportunities this season to get on the air for men's and women's ice hockey in the second semester, and baseball later on in this year, and next season for football, if you so desire. Once again, shoot us an email at wrpi-sports@rpi.edu, and we will accommodate you. We'd like to thank the guys back at the studio for getting us on the air and making sure we stayed out there. The next sports broadcast here for WRPI and the next men's hockey game are at the same time. That is December 29th and 30th here at the Fieldhouse as RPI takes on another Hockey East foe. The University of Maine Black Bears come into town for 2 games. That will be the final games of 2017. So, on behalf also here of the WRPI announcing crew, we'd like to wish you a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. Do it happily, do it safely, enjoy yourself. We want you to come back here and listen to us after the holiday season and enjoy yourself. So that will do it here from the Houston Fieldhouse. The finals for Perilous Garris. I'm Ed DeGarian. Final score here for RPI men's hockey is UNH 6, RPI 3. You've been listening to live coverage of Engineering men's hockey on 91.5 FM, WRPI Troy.